10 years ago, making $100,000 a year meant you had officially made it in life. A six-figure salary meant success, stability, and the feeling that your financial problems were finally over. People imagined a beautiful house, a reliable car, and the kind of life most people only dreamed about. Reaching $100,000 was supposed to mean you were finally financially comfortable, but today something strange is happening across the entire economy. Millions of people earn six figures, and yet they still feel completely broke. They pay their bills, work full time, and technically earn more money than ever before. But at the end of every month, their bank account somehow still looks terrifyingly empty. So, where does all the money actually go? How can someone earn $100,000 a year and still feel like they're barely surviving? The answer becomes obvious the moment you start looking at the real numbers. Because when you break down the math, the reality is shocking. $100,000 used to mean rich. Today, in many cities, it barely feels like enough. And the real reason has nothing to do with laziness or bad money habits. The real reason is something far more powerful. It's the simple math of modern life, and once you see the numbers clearly, you can never unsee them. Because the truth about a $100,000 salary might completely change how you think about money. So let's break down exactly where that money really goes. Let's start with the first place your money disappears before you even see it. Most people hear $100,000 and imagine a huge paycheck. But the reality looks very different once taxes take their share. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare all take their cut. Suddenly, that $100,000 salary shrinks much faster than people expect. In many places, your take-home pay drops to around $70,000. That means $30,000 disappears before you even touch the money, but taxes are only the beginning of the story. Now the real spending begins. The single biggest expense for most people is housing. Rent or mortgage payments can easily take $2,000 every single month. In many cities, housing alone can eat nearly half your take-home income. But you still need electricity, internet, and basic utilities. And suddenly, another few $100s disappears every month. Then comes transportation. Car payments, insurance, gas, and maintenance all add up quickly. Owning a car can easily cost $800 a month or more. And we haven't even talked about food yet. Groceries, restaurants, and everyday meals quietly drain hundreds of dollars every month. Health insurance is another massive expense many people underestimate. For many families, insurance alone costs hundreds of dollars every month. And that's before any unexpected medical emergencies happen. Now add phone bills, subscriptions, and everyday spending. Streaming services, apps, memberships, and digital payments slowly stack up. Each one seems small by itself, but together they quietly drain thousands of dollars every year. And suddenly that $70,000 doesn't look nearly as big anymore. Month after month, the money flows out in every direction until people look at their bank account and wonder where everything went. But there is another powerful reason why people making $100,000 still feel broke. It's something economists call lifestyle inflation. This happens when your spending grows every time your income increases. At first, it feels completely reasonable. You finally earn more money, so naturally you want to improve your life. Maybe you upgrade your apartment. Maybe you buy a nicer car. Maybe you start eating at better restaurants or booking nicer vacations. None of these decisions feel reckless in the moment. After all, you worked hard for that raise. You deserve to enjoy the rewards. But slowly, something dangerous begins to happen. Your lifestyle quietly expands to match your income. Every raise gets absorbed by new spending, and suddenly your financial situation barely improves. Even though your salary keeps going up, this creates a financial illusion. From the outside, your income looks impressive, but behind the scenes, your money disappears just as fast as it arrives. This is why so many high earners still live paycheck to paycheck, even with a six-figure income. Because the problem isn't just how much you earn, it's how the modern system quietly drains that money away. And the next part of the story makes the situation even worse. Because over the last few decades, something dramatic has happened to the cost of living. Because the real reason a $100,000 salary feels smaller today is simple. The cost of living has exploded. Over the past few decades, prices across the economy have risen dramatically. Housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and education have all become dramatically more expensive. But salaries have not kept up with those increases, which means your money simply doesn't stretch as far as it used to. To understand this, imagine earning $100,000 20 years ago. Back then, housing prices were dramatically lower in most cities, groceries were cheaper, healthcare costs were significantly lower, and education hadn't reached today's extreme prices. Now compare that to today. Rent in many cities has doubled or even tripled. Groceries cost far more than they used to. Healthcare costs have skyrocketed, and college tuition has become one of the biggest financial burdens for families. All of these rising costs quietly squeeze your income from every direction, which means that $100,000 today simply isn't what it used to be. In fact, economists estimate that $100,000 today buys roughly what $70,000 did years ago. So even if your salary sounds impressive, your purchasing power has quietly shrunk. And most people never realize how dramatic this shift really is. Because the number on your paycheck hasn't changed, but the value of that paycheck has. And this leads to a frustrating feeling many people experience today. They are earning more money than ever before, but somehow their financial stress hasn't improved. This is why the six-figure dream feels very different today, because the world around that salary has completely changed. And once you understand this shift, the numbers start to make sense. But there is still one more hidden factor that drains people's income. A factor that quietly eats away at millions of paychecks every month: debt. And the problem often begins earlier than people realize. Student loans alone can follow people for decades. Some graduates start their careers already owing tens of thousands of dollars, and those payments quietly eat a portion of every paycheck. Then come credit cards. Credit cards make spending incredibly easy, but interest turns small purchases into surprisingly large payments. What started as a few $100s can quietly grow into thousands. And then there are car loans. Modern vehicles often come with years of monthly payments. For many households, multiple debts exist at the same time. Each one may seem manageable by itself, but together they create a powerful financial drag. And suddenly that six-figure income starts feeling surprisingly small because money is constantly flowing out to cover old decisions. This is why many high earners feel like they are running in place. They work harder, earn more money, but their financial situation barely changes. And that leads to one of the most frustrating financial feelings in modern life: the feeling that no matter how much you earn, it never quite feels like enough. But here's the surprising truth: the real issue isn't simply income, it's the system of modern expenses surrounding that income. And once you understand that system, you start to see why so many people feel financially stuck, even with salaries that once sounded impressive. But there is also a psychological reason behind this problem. Because human psychology plays a huge role in how we experience money. And that psychological trap may be the most powerful force of all. But money isn't just about numbers, it's also deeply connected to psychology. And one of the most powerful forces shaping our spending is comparison. Humans naturally compare their lives to the people around them. If your friends upgrade their cars, suddenly your car feels older. If coworkers move into bigger apartments, your place suddenly feels smaller. And social media has made this comparison constant. Every day we see curated images of other people's success: perfect vacations, expensive dinners, luxury cars, and beautiful homes. But what we rarely see is the financial reality behind those images: the debt, the stress, and the monthly payments that make that lifestyle possible. Still, the comparison effect is powerful. When everyone around you appears successful, it creates pressure to keep up. This is often called the lifestyle race, and the finish line constantly moves further away. Because there is always someone richer, someone with a bigger house, a newer car, or a more glamorous lifestyle. And chasing that comparison can quietly destroy your finances because the goalposts never stop moving, which means no matter how much you earn, you may still feel behind, even at $100,000 a year. But here's the powerful realization many people eventually reach: wealth is not just about income, it's about control over your money and the ability to build assets that grow over time. Which brings us to the most important question: if $100,000 isn't rich anymore, then what actually creates real financial freedom? If $100,000 isn't rich anymore, then what actually creates financial freedom? The answer begins with understanding one simple difference. Income is the money you earn from working. Assets are things that make money for you. Most people spend their lives chasing higher income, but wealthy people focus on building assets because assets continue producing income even when you're not working. This creates something powerful: financial leverage, where your money starts working harder than you do. And over time, that difference becomes enormous. Because compound growth is one of the most powerful forces in finance. Small investments today can grow into massive wealth over decades, while relying only on salary keeps you stuck in the income treadmill. This is the hidden lesson behind the $100,000 illusion. A high salary alone doesn't create financial freedom. But combining income with assets changes everything, because assets give you something salary never can: freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time. Freedom to walk away from work you don't enjoy. And freedom to build the life you actually want. Which means the real goal isn't earning six figures. The real goal is building financial independence. And that journey starts with understanding where your money truly goes. Because once you see the system clearly, you can finally start playing the game differently. And that's when money stops controlling your life and starts working for you instead. Because in the end, wealth isn't about how much you earn, it's about how much freedom your money creates.